I have set goals every year for as long as I can remember. And every year the same thing happens. Strong start. Genuine enthusiasm in the first week. Gradual drift through the second and third weeks. And by the end of the month, a vague sense that I had been busy without being particularly purposeful. This is not a motivation problem. It is a system problem. And this time I decided to solve it properly. For 30 days I used AI for the entire goal process. Not just setting the goals. Setting them, structuring them, tracking progress weekly, adapting when life interrupted the plan, and holding myself accountable to the outcomes I had committed to. Today I am sharing the complete honest results. What the system looked like. What changed compared to previous attempts. What surprised me, and what 2 habits I kept permanently. Welcome to Tech Talk Tech. We upload every single day with fresh AI strategies. Subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss tomorrow's video. Why goals usually fail before the system, the honest diagnosis. Most goal setting fails for 3 specific reasons that almost nobody addresses directly. The goals are too vague to act on. Lose weight. Earn more money. Be more productive. These are outcomes, not actions. You cannot do an outcome. You can only do the specific behaviors that lead to an outcome. Vague goals produce vague behavior. The tracking is either obsessive or absent. Most people either check their goal progress constantly, which creates anxiety, or stop checking entirely after the first week, which creates drift. Neither produces consistent forward movement. The plan has no adaptation mechanism. Life interrupts every plan. The person who has built adaptation into their system recovers quickly. The person who has not built adaptation in treats every interruption as a failure and eventually stops trying. AI solves all 3 problems simultaneously when used correctly. Week 1, setting goals that actually work. I spent the first Sunday in a 90-minute session with Claude. I told Claude my professional priorities, personal constraints, historical patterns, where I start strong and where I drift, and the specific outcomes I wanted by day 30. Claude helped me transform 4 vague goal statements into specific measurable commitments with weekly milestones. Not quarterly aspirations. 30-day targets broken into 4 weekly checkpoints. The most important thing Claude did was push back on one goal. I had included something that looked impressive but that I had attempted and abandoned in the previous 3 months. Claude identified the pattern and asked directly whether this goal was genuinely a priority or whether it was on my list because it felt like it should be there. It was the second one. I removed it. And removing it made the remaining goals feel more honest and more achievable than any list I had previously set. Week 2, the tracking system. Claude helped me design a weekly check-in that took 12 minutes every Sunday evening. 5 questions. What did I accomplish toward each goal? What did I not accomplish and why? What external factors affected progress? What do I need to do differently next week? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how aligned does this week feel with what I actually want? The 5th question turned out to be the most important. 2 weeks had strong productivity numbers but low alignment scores. I had been doing the right tasks for the wrong reasons. AI tracking does not just measure whether you did the thing. It helps you notice whether the thing is still worth doing. Week 3, when everything went wrong. Week 3 was the week I had a family situation that disrupted my entire schedule for 4 days. In previous months this would have been the end of the goal experiment. The momentum would have broken. The weekly check-in would have been skipped. And the restart that never quite happened would have quietly buried the entire effort. Instead, I opened Claude on the evening of day 4 and did an emergency midweek reset. I told Claude what had happened, what I had not been able to do, and asked it to help me identify what was still achievable in the remaining days of the week. Claude produced a realistic adjusted plan. Not an optimistic plan. A realistic one, 3 specific things that were genuinely possible given the time and energy I had left. I achieved all 3. The week was not what I planned. But it was not a failure. And that distinction, between an interrupted week and a failed week, is one that the adaptation mechanism made possible. Week 4 and the final results, the 4th week, was the clearest week of the experiment. The goals were specific enough that I knew exactly what done looked like. The tracking habit was established enough that Sunday review felt natural rather than effortful. And the adaptation mechanism had proven itself in week 3, removing the fear that one bad week would derail everything. By day 30 I had fully achieved 2 of my 4 goals. I had made significant progress on a 3rd. And I had deliberately deprioritized the 4th based on a week 3 review that revealed it was competing with something more important. This was the best month of goal performance I had achieved in years. Not because the goals were easier. Because the system was more honest, more adaptive, and more consistent than anything I had built manually before. The 2 habits I kept. 2 habits from this experiment became permanent. The Sunday 90-minute goal-setting session at the start of each month. And the 12-minute weekly check-in on Sunday evenings. Both run with Claude. Both take less than 2 hours combined across the entire month. That investment produces more purposeful months than I had achieved in years of less structured effort. Your action plan starting today: set aside 90 minutes this Sunday. Open Claude. Tell it your goals, your constraints, your historical patterns, and your energy rhythms. Ask it to help you turn vague intentions into specific measurable monthly commitments with weekly milestones. Then set a recurring 12-minute Sunday evening check-in for every week of the month. 2 hours of structured thinking per month. More purposeful results than years of unstructured ambition. What goal have you been setting and abandoning repeatedly that this system could finally help you achieve? Drop it in the comments. I personally reply to every comment. If this gave you a goal system that might actually work this time, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to Tech Talk Tech. We upload every single day. See you tomorrow.